Dr. El Halal is the head of AI technology at Digital Catapult, and she has experience in machine learning and mathematical modeling, and has done research on analyzing and predicting behavior in academia and industry.
So that was a really hard one to follow, and I'm very, very impressed with the previous speaker. And my hope is that the work that we are starting here today will allow some of us to have a convincing story as that to tell in a few years' time about something that already has a life and had impact in the world. And thank you also, Christine, for your talk. It's actually really useful for my talk to have walked through what this looks like in practice. So, I would like to attempt to talk to you about how do we move the conversation about responsible AI from the what to the how. In the last years, we have seen a lot of conversation about what should we be doing, and that's really useful because companies have resources to go to if they want to get things right. They have things they can use. They can use our framework. There are others out there. They can start becoming more responsible in the way they do technology and AI. We also created a common language. So when we talk about accountability, about fairness, about transparency, these terms already sound familiar to those who are having the conversation. However, I would like to say that now is the time to do better than that, because as we saw in Christine's example, applying the ethics frameworks did not speed the product development up. It actually adds friction to the process, and this is good friction because you end up at a better place, and it's really worthwhile to do that. But what if we could do this better? What if we could make the responsible choice the easy choice, the default choice? And I would like to suggest in this talk how can we get there. So going backwards, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is the work that we're doing with startups, and that might give some useful context to what we suggest to do next. So Christine already mentioned Machine Intelligence Garage, so I would like to tell you a little bit about what that is. So this is our main startup program for machine learning and artificial intelligence startups in the UK. A while ago, we realized that on top of the challenges that most young tech companies face, companies that are trying to develop machine learning-based models also have challenges with access to computation power, and this can get very expensive very fast with current deep learning methodologies. And then there is a chicken and egg problem of getting to a proof of concept with very little funding. So we put together a really nice resource around computation power and around expertise for computation power that we offer to companies in a similar structure to acceleration programs. So we work with companies on cohort based, around 5 to 6 at a time. We offer them access to the resources, also the expertise around it, and with time we're developing an extensive set of resources for these companies. And one of these services is our ethics service. So right from the start, we wanted to help companies on that front as well. We believe that the future and competitive advantage belongs to companies who get this right. And this was also acknowledged by our House of Lords AI report. So when we started talking about an ethics service for a startup acceleration program, we had really nice feedback from our ecosystem. We believe not many people are already doing this, so developing a framework and redeveloping it and applying it in practice. And we had a really nice validation from the sort of individuals who chose to join us as an ethics committee. We heard from Professor Luciano Floridi, and we are privileged to have Christine Henry with us in the audience and a speaker today. And what is another thing that is very special about how we do this is that part of this ethics committee is also an advisory group, and these are individuals who do actual practical work with companies. So they take our framework and help companies apply it in practice. That allows us to learn from this experience and develop the framework in a continuous way. So we already published the first iteration of the framework, and I don't have time to go into too much details, but it has 7 concepts around the issues that we believe companies should care about most. Really, you could condense it all to risks and benefits, but there are a few areas that we thought deserve special attention. And the way we phrase it is as a set of self-help questions that companies can go through and identify the issues that are more useful for them. And as Christine already mentioned, this will change with time. So at different life stages of companies, different questions will become important. And as part of Machine Intelligence Garage, we also offer companies the consultation service where we help companies using our experts to identify the important issues and offer solutions. So this has been going really well. What I quickly drew here is, based on the conversations we already have, the relevancy of our framework to companies. So many of the concepts were relevant to 100% of the companies. And those that weren't sometimes are indicative of the life stage of the company, but in other cases, it's cues for us to make it better, which is a good thing. And I also wrote here some of the really nice things that companies had to say about the service. So far so good. We are really happy to be able to provide this to UK companies, and our framework is out there. So the link was on my previous slide, and feel free to have a look. And if it's useful for anyone you know, please use it and then tell us how it's going. We asked all speakers today to help us address 3 questions, and I'm going to set an example and address them. So the first one is around the challenges about what we already have. And I already mentioned that in our view, one of the major challenges is the friction that applying responsible AI frameworks add to the development process. So what we would like to see is more tools to support companies in removing some of the first component for us is a piece of research talking about about what's already out there. So there are already tools out there. Christine mentioned some of those. The usability, I think we would both agree, is limited. They might be useful in some use case, and it would be really good to be able to test them in a collaborative way and disseminate information about what are the useful things and where you should be using them. So this is the first thing that we are going to do. And based on this information, we would like to suggest a program to help bring tools like that to market. And we see this program as having potentially 3 components, but one of the things we would really like to hear back from you is what a varied group of people with interest in these tools think would be useful. So this is just an hypothesis, and we would like to test it in the 2 events that we're organizing. The first component, and the components go from closest to market to the most hypothetical. The first component is looking at what's already out there and testing it, seeing where does it work well, where does it not work well, doing it in collaborations with a wide group of stakeholders, so we can disseminate useful information and increase the adoption of tools that are already there, potentially in early stage. The second component is around tech transfer. So we see a lot of progress made in academia, and put them in the hands of the people who need them, the startups, the larger organizations, the people who would like to use these tools. I think we can offer a platform to do this collaboratively and faster. And then the last component is the blue sky, so things that are not already out there. So when we look at the categories of tools that are closest to market, I think it's not surprising that most of them will be around data, removing bias from data, removing bias from creating better algorithms that deal with bias in data. But there are other dimensions for responsible AI. So what about diversity and inclusion? How do we deal with that? So we would also like to design a forum where these aspects can be discussed and some solutions could be proposed. So co-creation of new tools in new areas. And we have tons of open questions about how do we do this. Some of them are already mentioned. So we are now conducting the research, and we would like to also use your crowd wisdom to find out what's already out there. What does the demand side for these tools look like? Who should participate in the design? How should we fund this work? And then one of the reasons we think we are really a good fit to focus on that is that we are a neutral organization, but how do you observe, how do you demonstrate, how do you protect this neutrality, especially when you want to launch tools into the market? Really important point made by Christine about where is the border between technology and humans. So we did not just invent the new profession of an AI ethics consultant to then steal it by AI. And yeah, what would effective collaboration look like? So yeah, this is me, and I hope I have some time for questions.